Attorneys for Hunter Biden are expected to meet with Justice Department officials this week. An investigation into possible crimes related to his taxes and making a false statement when purchasing a gun has been overseen by the U.S. Attorney for Delaware since at least 2019. Hunter Biden has denied any wrongdoing. Senator Chris Coons addressed Attorney General Merrick Garland's handling of the case on Face the Nation yesterday.
Are you confident in the conduct of Attorney General Merrick Garland when it comes to this case?
I am. Look, President Biden, from the days he was campaigning to his first days as president, made it clear that he thought restoring the independence of the Department of Justice, removing any political influence for potential investigations was a core value that he brought to this service as president. And I'm confident that's in no small part why he chose a seasoned circuit court judge, someone with also deep experience at DOJ. I am confident that Merrick Garland has conducted himself appropriately here.
Joining us now for more is CBS News senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge. Catherine, it's great to see you. So what can we expect from this meeting between Hunter Biden's attorneys and DOJ officials?
Well, Vladimir, Marie, good to be with you. Just for some context, it's not unusual for the subject or the target of a federal investigation to have a meeting with Justice Department officials to get a kind of a status update on the case. What is unusual is for a simple tax case to run for 4 years because these are document-driven cases. And as you know, earlier this year and at the end of last year, we were able to independently verify the data on a hard drive, Hunter Biden's hard drive. And there's ample evidence of these financial transactions with Ukraine and China. So even on its face, there may be evidence of what's called a FARA violation, which is the Foreign Agents Registration Act. So it's really the length of time this has taken, if it's simply a tax case or whether it's expanded into something quite different.
We haven't heard really anything from President Biden. I guess I'm not really surprised by that, but is there a need for President Biden to address the investigation into his son ahead of a potential 2024 run?
Well, this is one of the lingering threads from the last election, and it's certainly clear that all the parties want to see some kind of resolution in this case because of the number of years that have passed. And again, if it's simply a tax case, you would have expected some sort of adjudication to have happened before this point. So all of the parties would be seeking some kind of settlement, an indictment, or it's closed with no action. And I think it's fair to argue that with the appointment of a special counsel in the Trump case, there are certainly Republicans who believe that it's time for a special counsel in the Hunter Biden case, just given how much time has passed.
So, Catherine, as you know, House Republicans accused the Biden campaign of trying to discredit the Hunter Biden laptop reporting back in 2020. Break that down for us.
Okay, so if you think back to October of 2020, a statement was made by over 50 former intelligence officials that they said it had all of the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. We know through portions of a transcript that were released last week by House Republicans that a deposition was given by Mike Morales, a former CIA senior official and a former CBS News contributor, that he received a phone call from Antony Blinken, who at that time was a Biden campaign advisor, and that set into motion the drafting of this letter. But there's a lot more to the story. Based on other sections of the transcript, it seems pretty clear that Morell told congressional investigators that Blinken did not sort of insinuate or direct or suggest that he write it. All of that said, Republicans are now seeking documents from Secretary Blinken about all of his communications involving the drafting of that letter and who else was involved. Some of the people mentioned in the transcript are currently in the White House.
Could we see the secretary himself be subpoenaed?
Well, what's interesting about this case, Anne-Marie, is that all of these actions took place when he was effectively a private citizen. He was a campaign advisor. He was not Secretary of State. So he doesn't have the same protections such as executive privilege that would apply to his current job. He's, I would argue, legally more vulnerable or more exposed. And Republicans, I think you can see from their track record in the House, they're saying everything is on the table, and they've not hesitated to subpoena senior officials. We'll see what unfolds with this deadline early May, I believe May 4th.
All right, Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.